Welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of, TSM's LCS team. And, we are officially 1-3 with the new lineup. Spoiler alert, in case of some reason you came here to hear about the actual goings-on of the game, or the games, I should say. They were not good. And, it wasn't like... It wasn't a terrible weekend, right? Like, I know a lot of people are going to argue with me. They're like, "What are you talking about? You're an idiot. Like, you're dumb. Like, why would you say that?" I actually just kind of felt like we were just a step behind this weekend. Like I've gone back, I rewatched highlights, and it didn't feel like we were necessarily bad. It just, there were little things here and there that put us behind, right? There were plays that could be made that that there are things that our younger players need to learn, right? So, I think the Hunter Thieves example or game is a prime example of that. I think Soul, being where he was, losing his flash early when the rest of his team was kind of not there to do anything, obviously not ideal. Then even some of the plays that he tried to take early on were not great. I don't know that the Yone really fit with the team comp. Not that was completely his fault. I don't know how I feel about this Poppy pick, which I'll dive into here in a little bit. But then also, Instinct. Getting killed by the Infernum or whatever they're called. The blue fire that is shot out of FBI's gun, essentially killing him. In all reality, he just kept taking damage from it. And that, that's just, I think, a small thing that you don't think about, but FBI does and realizes, hey, I have kill pressure here because I can just get ulted out by Huhi here. And truthfully, even in this game, Maple picking the Zoe, I know he's a good Zoe, but why would you do that? What are you planning on getting through here? You're not going to be able to get through Meganard. You're definitely not going to be able to get through the Trundle. You're not going to be able to get through Huhi and that Tom Kench. Sure, you can maybe one-shot Abadage or FBI, but that's a pretty big stretch. Personally, I think there's a lot of other picks that he could have gone with. I know the Talia was gone. They ended up banning the Swain and the Silas, but I don't know. Hell, even Corky, I think, would have maybe been better here, honestly. Just something that allows you to have some escape as they're running at you. And there was just, I don't know. I don't like the way that this comp was put together. It wasn't terrible, but it really wasn't great either. And I just, yeah. And then all the plays throughout the game, right? Where it felt like maybe we could have this big, turnaround, similar to how the Immortals game will go when I go into that. But it just never felt like we could have influence on the map with the Poppy. The Poppy's great to block all of the dash champions, but the problem is that when somebody can pick a comp like Gnar, which, can at least get blocked, I think, on the jump. Trundle is a great counter pick for it. Abadage doesn't have a dash, so he can just do whatever the hell he wants to. Even with FBI having technically a dash through the through his mythic item that I can't seem to remember right now. And then you have who he dives under. I don't think it counts as a dash. So there's just this first pick Poppy thing, and it's not just TSM that we're doing this, by the way. And a lot of the time when TSM feel as though there is something that Spica likes and he wants to get prio on it, they will pick it first. Remember, they did this with Udyr last year constantly. I mean, it was just like it did not matter if the Udyr got through, they were picking it for him. I mean, they do this for him. That's I think kind of their strategy. It allows them sometimes when they have first pick to see what else is going to come out without necessarily having to sacrifice too much. But the problem is this Poppy's a great pick, and I think she's super strong in the meta right now. The problem is when somebody can just instantly pick the Trundle. Like if you know you're going to go Poppy, then I think I'd rather them get rid of the Lulu, or get rid of the not banning the Lulu, ban the Trundle instead. Maybe it's a little bit too telegraphed, but who cares, right? Like, I think if they don't ban the Lulu and they're planning on playing the Poppy, they can ban, the Trundle, and then you can either first pick the Zeri or first pick the Poppy. I don't know. There's just, well, if the Zeri doesn't get banned, obviously, but there's just, it's interesting to me how we really didn't play this all that well. And I don't think that this was an opportunity for us to really teach. I mean, there were a couple moments where Instinct and Soul, in particular, were picked off, and that they made weird and interesting mistakes. But this first game, it just kind of felt like a slow climb towards death. A slow 25-minute, 27-minute, apparently 28 almost minute, just doesn't really matter kind of a thing. They just slowly grew their gold lead. They were consistently, just getting little advantages here and there, making it really difficult and punishing us for some of the mistakes that we were making. And I think, listen, I think these are good things because you can point out what the problems are and kind of talk Soul and Instinct through them. And, maybe Huni too, because first weekend up there in the draft, especially in that first game, not the greatest. I know he's there to help with it. I really don't understand what is going on with our drafts. It doesn't feel like we're really all that well prepared. I'm consistently confused by what our attempts are and what we are trying to do. And it's just like, it feels like everybody has a counter to us right now. And not that this game was entirely lost in the draft. I mean, there's a world where, we're playing this really well. Maple's poking down and then you get Instinct fed and he just pops off and that's great. But it just never really felt like we had much of a chance in this game, to be honest with you. From minute one with that flash from Soul, it was like, well, this isn't great. So I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, we can't really we can't complain too much. We're just happy that I'm just happy that these guys are getting their chances, that they are learning. And I think that's the big part of this is we are clearly preparing for next year. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, we would love to make a playoff run. Sadly, this game against Immortals might have sealed our fate. Immortals have now won 2 games in a row, including beating us. And we only have maybe one more. Now, the good thing is we have a tie with Immortals. If we can keep the same record as them, which we currently have, both teams are 3-8. I believe that's correct. I'll have to check again. Actually, let me check that real quick. Before I confirm that. I'm about 90% sure that both teams are 3-8 right now. Yeah, both teams are 3-8. With that being the case, we just need to stay even with them. And there are still beatable teams for us. We can still beat Dignitas. We can still beat Golden Guardians. And I think we can still take one game somewhere else. Find a win elsewhere, wherever that may be. So, we're only 2 games in of our latter half. The latter half 9, the back 9 if you were playing golf, and that's good to me. I don't really have much of a problem with that. But, this Immortals game would have been really nice. If we win this game, it is our chances of making playoffs, just making that 8 seed, increased exponentially. Okay? Not only would we have a game on Immortals, right, but we would have the 2-0 over them for the split, which would mean, again, that's basically like a 2, almost 3 game lead right there. Realistically, it would have been like a 3 game lead, because they would have had to jump us. Because, we'd be a game ahead, like I said before. A tie would do nothing, so that's 2 games for them. Actually, so yeah, it would only be 2 games. Sorry, 2 games for them to they'd have to jump us, essentially. But now that's not the case. This game was pretty paltry as well. I still don't really understand the Power of Evil Cassio pick. It didn't feel like it did much. Even the Seraphine pick didn't really feel like it did much. It was pretty much just Ken vs. Trundle and Revenge on the Aatrox, which I'm sure that this team, and Ignar made some pretty nice plays with the Amumu as well. I think he got a nice read into this team. And, guys, it's just... There was just the one team fight around the Baron Pit that really felt like we had a win, but we had no heal cut whatsoever. For that, they used the Ignite on Kenvi, which was really unfortunate because and that's not a bad pick. Like, everybody's going to question, like, well, why did you put the Ignite on Kenvi? Because Kenvi is the important person in that fight, in all reality. Like, you don't realize how, like, you haven't played against an Aatrox in a while, so, like, in pro play. So, I'm not making excuses necessarily, but Trundle has a lot of healing as well. A lot of self-healing from the ultimate, from his Q. Even, I think, just his basic attacks, like he siphons... No, Siphon Life is Nasus, I think. There's something else. Wait. All right, let me get this passive down. I am pretty sure he does something... Trundle. Here we go. Sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds here. I got to remember exactly what this passive does. King's Tribute. Whenever a nearby enemy dies, Trundle heals himself based on their maximum health. He can heal up to 5%, almost 6% by level 18 of their maximum health. So I think in that fight, he's somewhere around level 9 or 10. He's healing for 4% max health of anybody who is dying. Okay, like that is a substantial amount of healing, along with the Q and along with the ultimate. Like, Trundle can live for a really long time in fights, and it may not seem like a lot, but like, when they have that and they have Revenge and on the Aatrox and even the Cassiopeia heal plus the Seraphine heal, like, we probably should have had anti-heal items before any major fights. Either that or Maple should have spellbooked to another Ignite to hit at least 2 of them, the 2 frontliners. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm almost certain that Revenge dies there with Ignite on him to cut the healing. Or even like an Oblivion Orb on Maple, or the Executioners on Soul, or shit, honestly, even a Bramble Vest on Spica. Although it's fine that he didn't have one, because realistically, like, you're probably building. He built the Force of Nature. I think that's a smart build, to be honest with you. So it's just like, that fight happens, and then what are you supposed to do after that? In all reality, there's just not much you can do. Like they said, I actually think our team fight was really good there. You just underestimated the power of third Q plus freaking, ultimate plus whatever the spinny item's name that I can't remember that heals you a lot in fights. Like, we were just clumped up too close, and honestly, I guess the only major faux pas there was that Instinct was, whatever. But, they kept saying, well, nobody's going to do damage, blah, blah, blah. Like, our team had a lot more damage than theirs did naturally, right? Like, if Aatrox misses his Qs, he's relatively useless. And you can dodge most of them pretty easily. And then, the only real source of damage for the side of Immortals would be coming out of the Cassiopeia. I am about 90% sure that if we kill the Cassiopeia first or the Aatrox first, either one, it's a one team fight. And so I think the plays that they made at this Baron were good. I mean, you could tell. I mean, until, the 16, 17 minute mark, we're within this game, right? I mean, throughout most of this game, we're there. It's just then, that Herald fight just doesn't really go our way. You can see, we claim it right around the 16 minute mark, and then bam, we're just dead. And so it was really tough to watch because you kind of knew it was over after that fight. Because then the Aatrox just got so big that it really just didn't matter. They would have had to throw the game. And the build from Instinct felt very defensive. I did not love that build, honestly. I don't know if there's a different build that I'm missing. I'd have to go check, I guess. Let me see, what is the most common build on this Zeri right now? The common builds on Zeri, I guess they are Immortal Shield Bow, which is fine, but, like they were talking about Phantom Dancer, LDR, stuff like that, and instead it feels like he's kind of doing like a hybrid older build with the Essence Reaver plus the Runaan's Hurricane. I don't know about the Runaan's, to be honest with you. Like, that was a really good build when you would go like Tiamat into, whichever Titanic Hydra or, Ravenous Hydra, mostly Titanic. Like, that was a good build, but it just, I don't know. It felt weird. He needed to clear, I guess, so maybe that was part of the reason why, but I feel like Maple has plenty of clear. It's just, it was sad because this game could have been, I think, very winnable. I just think if they don't underestimate the healing of the Aatrox in that fight, and I'd love to hear what their comms are because they're probably like, oh shit, like that's a lot. That is a lot of healing. And it was just disappointing, and it's not that like I'm not angry at this team like I used to be, like in terms of just because my expectations have changed, and your guys' expectations should be changing as well. They are, all these players they're learning how to play together. There's a lot going on right now that I think makes this game unfortunate, but not the end of the world, right? I mean, it's really not. The only way that this would be an absolute, I don't know, an absolute L in my mind is if the TSM staff decided yet again to make another change. The only role that I really truly believe that there should be any changes in is the coaching role. I'm sorry, but I'm watching these games. I just don't know how I feel about Chawi right now. Somebody else, maybe let me know in the comments section below what you think about where we are with Chawi right now, but I am not in the mindset that he is what we need right now, to be honest with you. I like him. I think he is a good person, and it seems like he is doing the best with what he can have, but this kind of feels like all of the worst case scenarios that we kind of pointed out at the beginning of this season. I mean, just a split. The season have happened, right? And that's what's so unfortunate is it's like, we talk about them doing all this stuff with China, and they bring in Chawi, and it's like, okay, this is great. He knows Chinese, like this will be perfect. But there is, the concern that his last few teams haven't been very good. That has come to light. The concern that Shenyi and Kaido were just not going to fit in with the team very well. That was a problem, right? We even said, like, worst case scenario would be that we see Soul and that we see, Instinct or Chime or whoever, Shenyi, I guess at the time. It's just not looking good. Like, the players all look like their morale is shot. They need a leader. This team needs a leader badly. Just like a full on like person with experience and charisma. Because I think Soul brings the charisma. He is up there smiling every freaking game because he is getting to live his dream, and he is working hard to get better. He is. And if TSM decide, like, that would be the truest worst case scenario, would be if they were to try to change it and try to make playoffs, like, with, bringing Tactical up and bringing up Solo. Like, I would be honestly, like, I would probably just sit here and talk for 30 minutes about how much I am just hating this org right now. Because, listen, it doesn't matter. Like, I cannot express this enough. And you guys should say this on Twitter, on Reddit, too. Like, let the coaching staff, let the people of TSM who are running it know. It's okay to lose if you have a plan. If you are making strides towards getting better for the future, right? Everybody in esports has this have to win now mentality. Have to make the decisions that are going to help us win now. No, what you want is to set up the next TSM dynasty, right? That is what we all want. I don't care about a team like last year where we go and we win, right, in our first game, or we get first place in the summer, but then we bow out in fourth place, right, with a team that realistically would have gone to Worlds and probably not played very well. Okay, like, that was not building a dynasty. Those were getting a lot of players who were good but not great, right? You weren't building towards anything. And then you go out and you say, hey, we're starting to build towards the future. And then you keep making these weird changes. You keep making these weird decisions. Now, obviously, the people who said they were building towards the future, one of them is not here anymore in Parth. Okay? But I know Dominic wants to win, and I'm sure Glenn wants to win now. But I really hope, like, let them know, guys. Put it out there on Twitter. Tag Dunk. Go on Reddit. Let them know. TSM and the coaching staff need to be okay with losing as long as players like Soul and Instinct are learning more about the game. Even Spica is learning a lot from this year. He's only 21 years old. He is still a baby. He is only a couple years older than Soul and Instinct. I'm not going to be mad about them losing right now as long as they are finding ways to get better. And, like, Soul's Gnar is really not that bad. It's a decent pick. His biggest problem is his farming to me right now. I do think his farming is pretty lackluster, and I know people are going, wow, there's a lot of other problems. Like, when they're up there watching him, I'm seeing him miss so many CS and, like, not hitting things in the way that I see a lot of other pros hitting it. And that's okay. Like, those are things that he's going to learn. Clearly, Gnar is more of a for the team pick than it is for what he has done in his career. So I'm not going to be mad at him for that. I just really want him to continue to get better because everybody wants him to be great, right? He's all over the place. They are putting his face here, putting his face there, right? That's a lot of pressure for a young player. Now, he seems like he might be able to handle it. He seems like he's pretty happy to want to handle it. He wants to be a face for TSM, if not the face for TSM. But, guys, we have to remember it takes time. And we as fans have to be patient with this team and show support and tell the team, hey, we see it. We get it. Don't make changes. I'm just telling you guys right now, if they go out and they make changes, it's this whole thing is going to be for naught. This whole season will have been a complete waste if they go out and make changes. At least if you have Soul, at least if you have Instinct, and they are learning how to play together, then that's okay. But if they were to take them out, I would honestly, like, there would be a whole episode at least, on why that is the most moronic decision they have made yet. That would be truly the worst decision out of all the bad decisions and all the other things that have gone wrong for this split. The worst thing that they could do is make any changes to the starting five that they have now. Because guess what? If we don't make playoffs, who cares? We didn't last split either. So that streak of us making playoffs basically every single time, gone. It's already gone. Who cares? We're not going to win Worlds. We're not going to win the LCS right now. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we are building towards the next dynasty, towards the future. 2023 is that opportunity. And you need to know what is the best of Instinct that you can get. What is the best of Soul? What is the best of Chime? What is the best of Maple? What is the best of Spica? You have to give this team a chance to actually play together and learn how to work together. You have to. You just have to. Because that's the only way, in my opinion, that you can actually make any real changes for next year. Because at least you will have the knowledge of the game. They will have had 11 games together on stage and multiple weeks of practice. And hopefully, at least 3 playoff games. Now, this team's going to have to do a lot to get to that point. But they can. And TSM must just freaking, grit through it. Not get, but grit. Like, just, grit your teeth. And get through it. Suffer a little bit now so that the future can be great. That's what has to happen. All right. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment if you're watching on our YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss another episode of anything. Go check out Frame by Frame. If you like the LEC, Ben and Tim, yes, Talking TSM's Ben and Tim, are over there with their brand new show. They'll be coming out weekly, where they are going to be looking at current LEC games and, during the offseason, past ones to discuss different plays and different, interesting things that they see. Also, make sure to check out Hot Takes. That'll be coming out on this channel this week. And I Am Germ has officially joined the Gamehouse team. I bet you guys weren't expecting that collab. Yeah, you probably were. But, we're together right now. And he's doing a great job. He's putting out really interesting builds that you may not have thought of. So make sure you go check that out on the Gamehouse channel as well. I want to continue to make this show the number one TSM LCS podcast out there, so please leave a review if you feel so inclined. You can also hit me up on Twitter at TGHRobertHaynes if you have, thoughts, questions, ways to make this show better. You can also hit up the Gamehouse if you just want to see some cool stuff at TGH Esports. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. I'll have my power rankings coming out later this week, along with my picks for how I think we're going to do, which we'll talk more about that on Thursday. Again, would love to record these episodes earlier, but the uncertainty of the team actually staying together is, it's keeping me from being able to record too early. So, yeah. With that, thanks for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday and every Thursday during the regular season, and it is still exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes. This has been Talking TSM. I'll see y'all on Thursday.